Hi, hello, welcome to Unshelved Yapping. I am probably going to change that name because I thought it was super funny at first. Now I think it's stupid. So I'll probably be changing that shortly. But, anyways, what I do is I read books, lots and lots and lots of books. And then I wanted somewhere where I could just talk about them. So I made a YouTube channel so I could just yap on the interwebs about books. And so here we are. And today the book we're talking about is called Victorian Psycho. I adored this book so much. I like so hard. Like I want to buy it and give it to people. I had so much fun reading it. I wish it was longer, but then it being so short made it so perfect because then it was just like action, 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 thing just happened. There was no like boring parts in it at all. So, spoiler free parts. Oh, and totally off subject, but on subject, when I was looking up to see how long this book is, it's only 208 pages, by the way. I read that A24, A24, however you say it, I don't care. Say it however you want. It's not terribly important. Bought the rights to it. They're even casting for it. So they're going to turn this into a film. And I know you don't know anything about me, but I love that's this stuff that I've watched from A24, A24. I went through a really weird thing on HBO Max where I watched probably like 15 of their films in a couple of days. So I love their stuff. It's weird. They pick up weird movies. They sponsor weird movies. I don't know. I'm just very excited about it. Weird side tangent, but this is being turned into a film. I don't know who's going to direct it. I didn't get that far into researching it, but I just read that today, like as I was coming on or setting up my cameras. So, with that being said, other people think it's great too, not just me. So, there you go. Let's talk about it. So, quick synopsis of the book without a bunch of spoilers, and then I'll spoil it, but again, not the best storyteller. So, no spoilers. This lady named Winifred moves into this house called Enser House for the Pounds family, and then she has to be the governess. A governess is a tutor. So they're not the lower servants like the scullery maids and stuff like that. They actually spend a lot of time with the family. And they're supposed to just like tutor the kids, supposed to teach them French, get them ready for school, teach them nodal points, stuff like that. She's like their in-home tutor. And so that's what a governess is. And she's also supposed to teach them proper manners and how to like be good people and like be part of society because they're in the upper echelon of society, and help the little boy get into boarding school and help the girl be received in society, find a husband, whatever, because this is in 1850s. And the whole book takes place in a couple of months, I think 4 months, and it culminates, or the like big thing is a big massacre on Christmas, and then it culminates with a trial and someone being hanged. So that is a spoiler-free, very generic, but let's talk about this book because I loved it. In order to talk about it, we have to talk about our main protagonist, Winifred, or Fred. Fred is the monster, or her, like, I want to say like in Dexter, how he calls it the dark passenger inside of him is called Fred. Well, anyways, Winifred, she was not like other babies. When she was born, she did not cry. She didn't make any noise. She freaked her mom out. Her mom thought that this baby was just very, very strange. Didn't want to cuddle, didn't want to eat, didn't want to do anything. She thought it was like inappropriate how Winifred acted. And so she was told by the father of Winifred, because Winifred is illegitimate. She was born out of wedlock, and the mother was a scullery maid or something at this noble house, royal house, rich people house, whatever it's called. And it wasn't the master of the house, but the master of the house's son. I think it was the master of the house's son who got her pregnant. And so she was completely illegitimate. And he was like, I don't claim her. That baby's weird. Get rid of it. Like, give it away, get it adopted, leave it out in the street. He did not care what happened to Winifred. So what the mom did is she put her in foster care. And foster care in the 1850s or whatever was very, very different than foster care is now. So how it worked is they were called baby farms, and they were usually like just spinsters who owned a large house, and they would just take in all these children, and the parents of the children would have to pay the spinster lady to watch the kids, essentially. And they weren't well taken care of. It wasn't regulated, nothing. But anyways, that's where Winifred grows up. And Winifred notices a lot of things as a little kid. Like, for instance, she was constantly on laudanum. And laudanum is an opiate, whatever. It is like essentially liquid heroin, and it was the cure all for everything in the 1800s. And so the like nanny, foster mom, whatever you want to call her, would always drug the kids. So they were always like perpetually like sleepy. And she never knew if things were dreams or not dreams or hallucinations, because she was just like, on liquid heroin all the time. So that's where she kind of grows up. And even the like foster mom, she's like, this kid's freaking weird. And like her mother would come visit her while she came to pay the like foster mom. And then foster mom was like, your kid's weird. I don't want this kid here anymore. But before that happens, I have to tell you something. While Winifred is living in the foster home, she watches the foster mom murder a couple of kids, either through starvation or suffocating them, or she accidentally overdoses them on laudanum sometimes. And she stops feeding them at all, even just the sugar water, if the parents can't pay. So she watched a lot of kids get murdered. So that happened. That's one of her earliest memories, is seeing a kid get, I think he was suffocated, is one of the earliest memories she can recall. So that's interesting. But anyways, the foster mom was like, your kid's weird. I don't want your kid anymore. Come get this kid. And so Winifred's mom comes and gets her. And it's not all happy families. No, nay. Her mom tries to kill her that first night that she brings her home, because she knows that there's something just fundamentally wrong with Winifred. So she attempts to kill her after she picks her up from the foster home. But she doesn't, obviously. I think she stabs her, but then she can't go through with it because, she birthed this child. And, a lot of people, unlike Winifred, would have a problem with murdering people. Winifred has no problem with it because she has no conscience or feelings, but her mom does. And so her mom decides to raise her. And then her mom ends up marrying like a vicar. I think he's called a vicar. And lives in the parsonage, which is like the house connected to the church. And he's like the minister for this little town. And her mom marries this guy. So her bedroom overlooks a graveyard, which is just goes to the weirdness of Winifred. And she talks about how there's grave bells in case someone gets buried alive, they can ring the bells. And she swears that she hears them every night. She's just a very strange child. And one of the great things about being married to a vicar is her mom gets to send Winifred off to boarding school for clergymen. So she's like, great, I cannot stand my kids, so please take her to this boarding school. Okay, I'm back. I had a cough and my dog was staring at me, but where was I? Oh yeah, Winifred goes to the boarding school, and the boarding school is very, very strange. Winifred hates everybody. She is a misanthrope through and through. She hates everybody, but she can't tell you why. She just doesn't like anybody, right? And then one day when she's at school and she's staring out the window, she sees this bird die. And I can't remember if the bird like flies into the window and breaks its neck and dies, or falls out of a tree, because when I was little, I once saw a bird fly into a window, break its neck and die. And so I don't know if I'm like mixing those memories up with her memory. It doesn't matter. Anyways, she sees this bird die. And that night she sneaks out of the house and retrieves the dead bird from the yard. And then she puts it in the floorboards of her dormitory. And she waits for this bird to like rot and start decaying, and it kind of stinks or whatever. And then she's like, all right, it's finally time. And her big plan is to poison all the other girls at her boarding school with dead bird juice and with the dead bird. So while they're cooking dinner for this regular dinner or whatever, it's nothing special, it's not like a big feast or anything, but she sneaks down and she puts dead bird juice in the stew. She puts the parts of dead bird in other food. So everybody gets sick. Everybody in the school gets food poisoning, but they think it might be cholera because it's a cholera outbreak because it is in the 1800s. And remember I said something about the grave bells, and that was a cholera thing in case they were buried alive, they could ring the bells. And so they think it's a cholera outbreak, but then the doctors come and they're like, no, it's food poisoning. And the only person who didn't get sick is ding ding Winifred. So they're like, she's crazy. She tried to kill everybody. She has to go home. So she gets sent home back to the parsonage, back to her parents, right? And kind of just drifts off from there. They don't say much about her upbringing or whatever, but she goes and gets a job, and she starts working as a governess for other families, and she'll have like memories of like the stuff she did with the other families. Nothing terribly important, except that you find out later that I'll tell you later. We're not there yet. So, what is the first big incident that happens at the Pounds family home is okay, so Mrs. Pounds is having a party, like a tea party, like a ladies' luncheon or whatever, because Mrs. Fancy, one of her really good friends, I don't know if her real name is Mrs. Fancy or if Winifred made that up, because I tend to make up names for people too. So I don't know if her name is Mrs. Fancy or if she's just being facetious. Who knows? But Mrs. Fancy has a baby, and everybody's like oohing and on over the baby, these other ladies at this tea party, but it is the 1800s and people simply cannot be bothered to take care of their own kids, right? So that is important because no one really knows what this kid looks like because it's always being taken care of by nannies. And the baby is sent up to the nursery to go to sleep, right? Miss Fancy is like had her like hour with her kid for the day, and she's like, I'm done. I need a break. And so she sends the baby up with the nannies that she brought to put her baby to sleep in the nursery for the Pounds family's nursery, right? And Winifred goes up there, and one of the things Winifred did when she was walking around the house at night is she found this secret room where she hides things, sort of like how she hid the dead bird under her floorboards. Yeah, she hides weird things in this like hidden room. And one of the things that she hides there is a dead baby because she kills the baby. She kills the baby, and she realizes, oh shit, I just killed this baby. What am I going to do? And then you find out that she used to send dead babies in the mail to the nuns after she got kicked out of boarding school, either babies that had died and were being buried in the graveyard of her bedroom, or babies she may have killed. I'm not entirely sure because, again, unreliable narrator. But there is a weird part during this like tea party where the women ask her like, where are you from? She gives the name of her village, and they're like, isn't that where all the stuff with the babies happened? I remember hearing about that in the papers. So you know that it's real, but you don't know the extent of it, right? But long story long, she kills this baby, and then she's like, oh my god, what am I going to do? Their mom is downstairs. I have to sort my life out right now and figure out what I'm going to do with this dead baby. So she does the weirdest thing possible. She goes and she runs off through like the fields or whatever, and there's tenant farmers because it is the laird situation, right? So she has tenant farmers, and she steals someone's baby that's outside, like hanging. I think they're hanging up laundry, or like one of the farmers' babies. She steals the baby and brings it back to the house and switches out its clothes with the dead baby's clothes, and then stashes the dead baby. And while she's doing this, Drusilla may or may not have seen her doing this. It doesn't say anything. And so you don't know if Winifred just thinks Drusilla saw this or if Drusilla really did see this. And if Drusilla is like Winifred and hates everything anyway, so she doesn't care, or if she's holding it over Winifred's head and is going to bring it up one day. You don't know. It's like it builds this weird tension, and it's kind of great like that. But she decides to take the dead baby and put it in a box, and she takes it down to a footman and was like, mail this to this. And it's the nuns that she used to mail dead babies to in her younger years. So that's interesting. So she does that. Another weird thing that Winifred does while she's living in the Pounds family home is she walks around in the middle of the night cutting the eyeballs out of all the family like oil paintings. And the lady of the house notices this, and she blames it on like different servants, different cleaners, different footmen or whatever, but it's Winifred, and she's just like keeping all the eyes of the family. She like cuts them out with, they didn't have X-Acto knives, so I don't know what she was using, but they were like perfect cuts of these eyes. And sometimes she'd switch the eyes out with other people, and sometimes she just kept the eyes out of these paintings. She's just weird, right? And that happens. And so the family knows something's weird with the house. They don't know what's going on. But the lady of the house does not like Winifred, right? And because the husband keeps flirting with her, and she does not like that. And why she shouldn't put up with that. If her husband's being a dog, he's being a dog. And instead of confronting her husband about it, she tells Winifred, hey, in 2 weeks after Christmas, you no longer work here. She doesn't even know that Winifred like killed the baby and has been the one like mutilating all the paintings. She's just mad that her husband keeps like flirting with Winifred or whatever. And Winifred does flirt back sometimes, I'm not even gonna lie. She's like using it to her advantage. It's kind of gross once you find out why she's at that house. So Christmas comes, and Winifred knows she's getting fired, and after Christmas, so she knows her time is short, and so she has to get done what she came there to do. And what she came there to do is twofold. So the first thing is she's always kind of alluding to the other families that she worked for. And they were all with the last name Pounds, because turns out she found a box of letters that her birth father had written to her mother about the crazy baby that they have and how he doesn't want anything to do with her and that she needs to murder the baby, all of this stuff, right? And he's not going to accept this child, but he uses his signature, James Pounds or John Pounds. It's a J Pound. And so she starts J Pound. So she starts working for all these different Pounds family, looking for her birth father. And this happens to be the family that is her birth father. So she's been flirting with her dad. That is so gross. But again, she's a sociopath or a psychopath. So she's just doing it to get something out of it, to like keep him interested so she can keep working there, because she has big plans. Big plans. And so Christmas dinner happens, and she's supposed to come to the Christmas dinner so she could make sure that Drusilla is following all the proper customs and norms so that she could be introduced into society. So she sits next to Drusilla at dinner. So every time Drusilla picks up the wrong fork or starts eating or makes noise when she eats or says something stupid or tries to converse with somebody, Winifred can pinch her and be like, stop it, that's not how you do it. You need to learn proper manners because you're going to be introduced into society to find a husband. And so Christmas lasts a few weeks, right? And so she goes to a couple of these dinners, but on, I think it's Christmas Eve, or maybe it's Christmas Eve, she confronts her father. She's like, oh, Mr. Pounds, he's like in his office or study or library, whatever rich white people do, confronts him, and she's like, oh, I have something to tell you. And she's like, you're my father or whatever. And he's like, no, I'm not. And chaos ensues after that. How do I explain this without, she'd just be killing everybody. She stabs him. She starts slitting throats. And then as she's just on this rampage, she's killing servants, dragging their bodies away, killing the guests of the party. And then what is really weird is Drusilla decides to take part in this. And I think she grabs like a fireplace poker or something, and she kills somebody, and just carnage happens. Like, so much is going on. Like, it's just like page after page after page, just like brutality and just out of pocket gruesome behavior. And I loved every minute of it. I won't go too much detail of it or whatever, but just keep in mind that Drusilla participates. And after everybody's dead and they're hidden, Drusilla's still alive, and they start like messing around. Like, they prop up all the bodies in like a weird tableau at the dinner table. They like start lighting shit on fire in the house. They're just acting wild and out for like 3 days. And then a neighbor lady comes by and she's like knocking. So this must be Christmas, or maybe Boxing Day. I'm not sure. This neighbor lady comes by and knocks on the door, and there's like no smoke coming from the fireplaces because they're like two women, Drusilla and Winifred, are like in this weird psychosis, and they're like just acting out, and they forgot to like light the fires, and plus they killed all the footmen that light the fires, or whatever, whoever lights the fires, and they burn some furniture, they do just weird shit. And this lady comes by and she looks through the windows and she sees the weird tableau of like the family sitting all dead and rotting at the dinner table. And she goes and she gets like emergency services. I don't know what they're called in the 1800s or whatever. And so the cops come, right? And Drusilla ties herself up to like, and when the cops come in, she's like, help me, I'm still alive, help me. So she gets off scot-free and everything gets put onto Winifred, and Drusilla participated in all of it, participated in the murdering, she killed some people. It was just awesome. She is so manipulative, so I really do think that she is Winifred's sister, and they both have this like dark passenger inside of them because she sells out Winifred hard. And then the like trial happens or whatever, and how it ends is Winifred being walked to the gallows, and there's like thousands of people there. I don't know if it's like thousands, but she says it's thousands. Who knows? She's actually crazy, so who knows how many people are there. And like right in the front row of her like execution is Drusilla. So Drusilla gets the last laugh because she inherits everything. Her parents are dead. She can't stand her parents. She didn't want to be part of society. She hated her little brother. She hated everything, just like Winifred hates everything. And she got off scot-free. And it ends with Winifred like talking from the gallows. And so I absolutely loved this book. So my final thoughts on this book is fantastic writing, amazing writing style with the unreliable narrator. I probably said that word a million times. The like plot twist at the end that it's her dad, that she's like, because she flirts with it throughout the whole book, and you find out that it's her dad, and that her sister also has this weird proclivity of murder, and her sister gets away with it and gets everything pinned on her, is fantastic. So I could see how this will be a great movie. It's got this slasher feel because it's a revenge plot, because Winifred wants to get revenge on her dad, but it doesn't have the supernatural element of slashers or whatever. But then the final girl happens to be her little sister, and she's not like a tradish final girl because she's not virginal. She's actually crazy too and be killing people, but she sells her out. So there's like the sellout at the end twist. I loved this book, and I've never read anything else by Virginia Feito, but if she writes anything else, I will definitely be on it and reading it and loving it. So that is my thoughts, feelings, and a breakdown of Victorian Psycho. I know this is probably one of my third long form videos, so if you like it, like it. If you have anything interesting to say about this, put it in the comments. I would actually like to talk to somebody about this book instead of just yapping to the void of my office. So feel free to leave a comment. And I don't know, again, I'm going to change the name of the channel. So I don't know what I'm going to change it to. If you think of something cool, let me know. Also, find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. But my Facebook and Instagram are the same. So if I ever post anything on Instagram, it just shows up on Facebook. I don't actually go on Facebook much, but come find me on there. I'll have the links in my description below. Okay, bye.